Welcome everybody to Mud Flood was Armageddon. The Mud Flood was the Armageddon. Don't let them tell you anything else because they'll be lying. It's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past. Amen. Hallelujah. Welcome the famous Randy from Wisconsin. RJ, we are loaded up with a lot of information, but it shouldn't take that long. How are you doing, brother?
Well, I'm receiving, another day the Lord has presented.
April 15th is a tax day, tribute day. Everybody got to pay their tribute. And to voluntarily pay that tribute. And in the meantime, Hitler's birthday right around the corner. Hitler's birthday right around the corner. Nobody cares. It's like, big deal. Who cares? Hitler's birthday. What is the big deal? Well, we're going to have to break the spell. I think they like to deal with dates. Same thing with September 11. We'll get to it very soon. But in the meantime,
without the help of the mafia, it's a criminal act of aggression. So what do Vikings and the mafia have to do with Frederick Bastiat? Not much, but Bastiat once said, "Government is a great fiction where everybody seeks to live at the expense of everybody else." Bastiat observed that instead of hiring the mafia, contemporary Vikings lobby Congress to get what they want. Acts of aggression that are criminal when committed by you or I suddenly become legal through the magic of legislation. In this way, individuals or groups of people are able to steal life, liberty, and property of others with the protection and assistance of the government. It's what Bastiat called legal plunder.
This film is not yet rated.
What does legal plunder look like? Sometimes legal plunder is easy to see. When banks or businesses get billions of dollars in bailouts, that's legal plunder. When legislation forces you to buy insurance for yourself or others, that's legal plunder. Other times, legal plunder is harder to spot and may even appear to benefit society, like federal farm subsidies or Social Security. But anytime wealth is forcefully transferred from one person to another, it isn't charity. It's just another form of legal plunder. Legal plunder doesn't only apply to money. Government coercion that steals someone's life or freedom is another form of plunder.
Wow. RJ, any comment on that? Oh, we can't hear you. Something going on here. Oh, RJ's not there. He must have been on the phone. Oh, I wanted him to see that. Might have to play that for him again. Just drove from Los Lunas, New Mexico to Colorado Springs, all straight up through the San de Cristo mountain range. I see why Amish are buying land in the area. Zach Macamudo is dropping a good. It's true. Where else they going to go? You have to come somewhere that you feel like you could make a living and be safe. I'm going to finish off that plunder thing now because RJ is not going to be able to comment. He's on the phone. Look at that guy.
Like when your children are forced to attend government schools, or fight in foreign wars, or compete in reality television shows. Okay, so we made that one up, but you get the idea. Bastiat concluded that when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men, they create for themselves in the course of time a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. In other words, legal plunder transforms citizens into competing bands of Vikings while transforming the government into a powerful mafia, carrying out acts of organized crime against the natural rights our founding fathers established it to protect. In this vicious cycle, it's just a matter of time before the neighbor we plundered uses the government to plunder us. So the next time you see the helpful hand of government at work,
that is one of the things that I studied at when I was grading tests at the Christian Liberty Academy Satellite System homeschool. They studied the law. What is legal plunder? And I wrote the key for that book and came to realize that, wow, whether it's communist or whether you call it capitalist, when you put a gun to somebody's head and say, now you owe me this tax because I have to give this money to this contractor to build a bridge because there's a village over there that is in our system, and when we're going to make money off them. It's something like that. That's plunder. Somebody with a gun said, that's my money now. Then it comes down to jurisdiction. Did they legally have the right to say, this is my property? Or like in the United States, did they come in, move in, make friends, make treaties, break the treaties, and then say, now it's my land and I can do whatever I want, and I want you to pay for improvements? There's something to that. That's an argument that has been around for a long time. So let's look at this. Many of the world's most notorious days in history, April 19th is coming, from the day Adolf Hitler was born to the Oklahoma City bombing. Do they happen to fall on April 19th or the days surrounding it, April 20th? Because it's a big world, and depending on where you are is when the Hitler was born or the Oklahoma building was bombed. So it's something like that in domestic terrorism. If it has a name, it might be April 19th, the day that notorious events linked to violent extremism like the Waco siege of 1993, not that long ago to me. I was a full-grown man. And Oklahoma bombing in 1995, what do they have in common? And it's no coincidence. Right around this time, we focus on April 19th, Leslie on April 20th. These dates do have symbolic purpose. Is it only since the year 1993 that they have that type of, anti-government extremist connection, or has April 19th been a big deal for the longest time? We're going to be looking at that. So RJ's back. RJ, I showed a little bit about plunder for 1 minute. If you got a minute, I'm going to play it again because I want to get your opinion about Frederick Bastiat. What is a criminal act of aggression? First, they compare if the mafia was going to steal your TV or if the government was going to steal your TV. How could you tell who's good or bad?
With or without the help of the mafia, it's a criminal act of aggression. So what do Vikings and the mafia have to do with Frederick Bastiat? Not much, but Bastiat once said, "Government is a great fiction where everybody seeks to live at the expense of everybody else." Bastiat observed that instead of hiring the mafia, contemporary Vikings lobby Congress to get what they want. Acts of aggression that are criminal when committed by you or I suddenly become legal through the magic of legislation. In this way, individuals or groups of people are able to steal life, liberty, and property of others with the protection and assistance of the government. It's what Bastiat called
a legal plunder. That kind of annoying that you do that. But
Okay, I sent you one yesterday evening.
Yeah.
He said what every American wants to say to government.
Right.
Okay.
That reminded me of the argument of Frederick. I've always pronounced it Bastiat because it's French, but Bastiat sounds, yeah, so it's the same thing, right? We're talking about the same thing. So when I show that video a little bit later,
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
And then the dude that's doing the commentary, interesting. And that was done, I believe, fairly recently.
No, 5 years ago isn't bad, but Frederick Bastiat and his legal plunder thing, and your guy, we'll look at his. It was new. That's a new way. Maybe that's how they spell philosophy. And
What does legal plunder look like? Sometimes legal plunder is easy to see. When banks or businesses get billions of dollars in bailouts, that's legal plunder. When legislation forces you to buy insurance for yourself or others, that's legal plunder. Other times, legal plunder is harder to spot and may even appear to benefit society, like federal farm subsidies or Social
I have
Security.
a
But
comment.
anytime wealth is
Why does that seem as though it's an oxymoron?
is it planned that way?
Well, no, I mean, how can it be legal just because that's it? Yeah, it's
Wait,
an oxymoron.
RJ, come on, man. Are you even trying?
Yeah.
They have guns. They'll kill you if you don't comply.
They said it's okay. All right, well then it's
Yeah,
fine.
it's like we have the guns. You owe us your lunch money. Oh, if then you won't kill me.
Again. All right, there you go.
We're not gonna kill you. We're gonna make you wish you were dead.
Well, no, if they kill you, then they don't. There goes their money tree. Their cash. They don't want to kill you.
They don't want to kill you
unless you force them to. But yeah, no.
Maybe if you need to be made an example of, but in the meantime, you don't kill the goose that is forced to keep laying golden eggs. Plunders, what? Hey, look, it's that guy.
Forcefully transferred from one person to another, it isn't charity. It's just another form of legal plunder. Legal plunder doesn't only apply to money. Government coercion that steals someone's life or freedom is another form of plunder, like when your children are forced to attend government schools, or fight in foreign wars, or compete in reality television shows.
Yeah, legal plunder. We are taking your son. He needs to go fight in a war. And the mom and dad go, well, he's my son. Not anymore.
Okay, so we made that one up, but you get the idea. Bastiat concluded that when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men, they create for themselves in the course of time a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. In other words, legal plunder transforms citizens into competing bands of Vikings while transforming the government into a powerful mafia, carrying out acts of organized crime against the natural rights.
Isn't it wonderful the way the Lord just tied those videos in?
Yeah.
So everybody, it's going to just fall into place later, Lord willing, right? And then
yeah, it falls into place, biblically, because
then we'll wipe our hands and go, job well done. Now everybody gets it. We're not going to fall for this American sham one more day.
Well, as far as recognizing, where
how come
we are.
I'm always so optimistic and the world never jumps on board? Here we go. So April 19th, what happened? Well, April 19th, April 20th have symbolic purposes, part of the subculture of right-wing extremists that like to blow up government buildings on April 19th. So they're turning it all around back to that 1993, 1995 Waco. And then, oh my goodness, somebody blew up the Alfred P. Murrah Federal Building in Oklahoma City. And a guy that was at Waco, Timothy McVeigh, was there, and there was no John Doe number 2. 94% of all domestic extremist murders are linked to right-wing ideologies. And of course, we're all afraid, like me, of April 19th. I'm not afraid of it. I just worry about it because there's always something weird. Oh, wow. The Columbine High School thing was celebrated because in their time zone, that's Hitler's birthday. Oklahoma City bombing, that was a big deal. No video. The siege in Waco, the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising, 1943. Hitler born 1889, blockade of Confederate ports. Start the Civil War on April 19th. Let's do that. Let's do what was that? The Revolutionary War. We became free. Let's do that on the 19th too. Let's jump right off the frickin' bat with Pisco's plot to kill Emperor and the conspirators. Let's do that 5 years before Armageddon. Let's talk about Basilius, the Lisbon massacre. These are events that happened on April 19th. There were a few recently, but give me a breakity doodah. He passed a law 4 years ahead of the time. You know what? If I could only have women children, I want her to be queen. 4 years later, boom, Maria Theresa, the off with their head. I'm just going to roll. Marie Antoinette and Louis the 16 couldn't get together, but they wanted the deal notified on the 19th, so they had a proxy wedding. And then she said, "Give it to me, baby." Pretty fly for a white guy. John Adams secures Dutch recognition. Dutch, or the Dutch Indies Company that was a corporation, and they let us, by 1782, this is officially, we're selling heroin to China with the Dutch and the English now. Any comments, or is this just too much? I mean, it's a lot of
for
proof
silver
for
only. Yeah.
I could go. I mean, it just goes on and on. Once it gets into past the 17s, 11s, it's every year is practically another big deal around April 19th, except there's a little gap in there, that is in between the Alfred P. Murrah. It was like, look, we can't just keep blowing up everything on April 19th. This is getting too obvious. So they did take a breather there for a while. I think that's just pretty convincing stuff. Because look, I'm not kidding. Space shuttle launched.
Hiding the suspicion of
Here we have Joseph Ratzinger is elected to the papacy and becomes Fort Benedict, because now we have two popes. Pope Benedict is the first Jesuit pope, which is like one of the first things they said. Who could be the pope? Anybody that's not a Jesuit. Well, let's just say we don't have popes for life anymore. And if they get sick and tired of paying billions for pedophilia and say they're not going to pay it anymore, well, they'll just get a new pope that will keep paying it. Boston Marathon, killed in a shootout with police. His brother later captured hiding in a boat where he writes in blood, "We didn't do it. We did not do it," in his blood while they were killing him, shooting at him while he's in a boat. We're not going to take a chance that he could get out of there and say we didn't do it. So he wrote it in his blood.
Yeah, like a Oswald disposal.
Go ahead, RJ.
Well, I mean, you see that, a corpse isn't much of a witness. I mean, other than the fact, he's dead.
Unless you get the forensics. Now,
Your evidence, not a witness.
Look at this frickin' gay looking. I got to get my hair cut in style, my beard cut in style. I got to dress like this every day because I'm a cop. I'm a bitch. I'll do whatever they say. I'm not a fan.
Cop. He's a security cat. He's not technically he is not a cop. He's a security cat.
He's a wannabe.
I've been told that I am not allowed to have the equal right to self-defense.
What if you walked into a government building and confronted all of the state employees about the fact that they might be working for an organized crime syndicate? Well, somebody did just that. His name is James Freeman.
Yeah, he's this guy. Go get him.
Or turf. You okay? Why did you call a guy with a gun?
What are your other questions?
Right now I'm asking, why did you wave a guy with a gun over here? I was just asking you questions.
Sir,
Ben, please don't be disorderly. Ben, why did you call a guy with a gun over here when I asked you questions? So I ask you if this place is funded by threats, coercion, and violence, and your answer is to call a guy with a gun. His immediate response was to wave a guy with a gun over. Does that make
I'm a
sense?
security officer.
Right.
I'm not a guy with a gun.
You are a guy with a gun. You are a guy with a gun in a building where I've been told that I am not allowed to have the equal right to self-defense. I think the police just showed up for us.
If a group of people, say a neighborhood watch,
Go ahead, RJ. Is this our future, or is this our past, or is it going to get worse?
Well, this is a reality
Oh,
from the past and currently, and I don't foresee it, changing either. So it's an ongoing scenario.
so this is a good time because I've always heard about the reality check, and I've been waiting for somebody to go like, "Here's the reality. I'm going to check and see what's going on in it."
Not true?
I disagree with that. I personally mean.
Oh, okay. So how is the money collected?
I am a security officer of the city. I do not deal with politics or the funding of the city.
Okay. So you don't know how the money is collected,
No.
but it's definitely not collected through coercion, threats of force or violence or
I
anything.
have never witnessed or seen that, no.
Never witnessed or seen it? Okay. How is the money collected then? Is it
Probably taxes
taxes?
would be my theory.
Okay. Taxes. How does taxes work?
I do not.
You really don't know how taxes work? Man, this was a good one.
Good. They work
I
really
loved
good.
it. It's like looking in a mirror.
taxation
Back when I had hair, my hair was about that color
Discuss it with
almost.
yourself, at least. Maybe when you go home tonight.
look at Mark.
Your lack of responsiveness and the way you're staring at me makes me feel as if you're either upset, uncomfortable, or otherwise
Free to your
unhappy.
thoughts. You're free to your thoughts.
Okay. Are you upset with the things that I've said?
No.
Okay. You just are non-responsive. Are you deep in thought?
Mark is working for a criminal court.
Are you deep in thought? I hadn't got this far into the video. This poor guy.
Yeah, and then at the end they actually call in a police officer.
Tell him to get out, huh?
Well, when the guy's outside the building is when
Let's jump to that
and then-
part.
and
I like this guy's attitude. Bob, don't get upset.
he
Bob.
walked the officer a long ways away from where he parked the vehicle because it was like a fountain or some sort of water
Noise,
thing
distraction.
creating background noise. There.
Is Brian
And-
still got that big long ponytail? The guy who,
okay.
So the mafia will come
huh? He used to sport a ponytail. He used to be big on YouTube. I haven't seen him in a
in
while.
and they'll offer protection, right? They'll come to a business and say, hey, man, 20%, and we'll take care of you. Somebody tries to rob you, we'll take care of them.
Sure.
We'll offer you protection,
Yeah.
right? And the owner says, yeah, you know what? I've actually got my own security. Not interested in your protection. So the mafia leaves. They come back and throw a brick through the window, right? Come back and say, oh, shoot. See what happened? They say, all right, man, I said I'll offer you protection, right?
Okay.
You heard of that model, right?
Sure.
And at that point, it's like, okay, I get it. The protection I need is from you. And if I don't pay you, I'm going to need protection, right? So I was trying to find out from them. I was asking them how the city is funded.
How the city is funded?
Yeah.
Taxpayer dollars, obviously.
Okay, they wouldn't tell me that. So it's taxpayer dollars? Taxes?
Just like every other city, right?
Okay. Funded through taxes? And those are voluntary, right?
Taxes?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm not going to get into the discussion of the Constitution. I don't know how it's
And how did your particular government get jurisdiction over this park, over this house, when we know that it was found, all the, the main probably courthouse was built already. We know the capital of whatever state they're in was mud flood. Go ahead. You got anything, RJ, or should we just a couple more minutes of this one?
Well, yeah, it's self-explanatory, I believe.
Right. I feel exactly like Brian is looking right now. This video makes me happy.
I think the Constitution determines how taxes are paid and who pays them and so forth. But are they voluntary? I don't know. I pay my taxes. You probably pay yours. Do we like it? Not necessarily, but we do it, right? Because we're good citizens.
In other words,
But here at the end, here towards the end,
James is getting it.
when he's asked, who he works for, that gets real interesting as well.
I work for the good mafia, the beneficial. What's he say?
Well, yeah,
Everybody wants to believe they work for
he used some Spanish words that most people aren't familiar with, and what the meaning of those words are.
I can't. Yeah, I'm intrigued.
The cat, doing the documentary.
Right. So maybe not voluntary then?
You got to keep that poker face.
No.
Have you ever thought about what would happen if you didn't? What if you said, you know what?
I'm here because they called about a disturbance. You guys are now outside, which is fantastic. You want to talk about anything else, how I can help you with something? I'm happy to do that, but I'm not going to get into a discussion about taxes or the mafia, which I don't know anything about, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I know. If you did, you seem like a good guy. So if you did and you realized, holy smokes, I'm literally working for blood money that's been taken from people through threats, violence, and coercion, I would imagine you'd be the type of guy who would say, you know what, man, I'm out. It doesn't mean you wouldn't be law enforcement still. It doesn't mean you wouldn't be a guy who protects people's life, liberty, and property, but you would probably say, holy smokes, man, I'm the bad guy.
Doesn't sound right.
I became the mafia. So I was at.
I love
this.
And the irony may be lost on this guy, but that's exactly
Just looks like much like he is the splitting it. I'm not looking in the mirror there. I am looking at my high school wrestling coach.
what cops do. That's exactly what city employees do. They work for blood money.
Asking them if the money that's brought into this building is brought here through threats, violence, and coercion. And you know what they did? Instead of answering my question, they called a guy with a gun.
Oh, gotcha.
You see the
as far as your comment,
you'll see the video
this
later.
making you happy.
Real escalated.
It's more the exposure, not the reality of it.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead, RJ.
No, you said this video kind of makes you happy. Well, only because of the exposure, not the reality of it.
Oh, right.
It's
No, the whole way they.
Yeah.
Let me
clarification there.
Clarification. Paco is not
but
happy.
If you went a little further, you get to hear him say who he works for.
Yeah, I do want to hear that part, but I want to go on record right now. I don't think they have legal jurisdiction, and I've been in jail because I don't think they have legal jurisdiction, and I told them to their face. And wow, that guy kept getting elected, and I did have to apologize to him. So I didn't mean it, but kind of I meant it.
Yeah, elections aren't rigged, that's for sure.
No, this guy, basically, he is pretty cool. He's the guy that got me back into Colorado and made me feel safe here,
But he was, I mean, you could see, and he needed it. I've been there. I'm sure you have too. Yeah. Sometimes, people say or do something, but we weren't trying to get him upset. We just wanted to know where the money came from. And he says, no, it's not threats and violence. And then he called you. Okay. And I think first he called in the security guard. It looked like an attempt to intimidate us because I don't have a gun.
Did he ask you to leave?
No. Oh. And I wouldn't have to leave anyways. I was there conducting official business. Okay. So, and even if he did ask me to leave, but I told him, you're not detained. You can, if you don't want to cooperate with the investigation, clearly that's suspicious, right? But not illegal.
Sure.
So at that point he left, but I guess they called you anyways. But the irony of me saying, hey, are you operating here under threats, violence, and coercion? and then multiple people with guns get called into a building where the sign says that I'm not allowed to carry a gun and be able to defend myself, right? So I've been disarmed. I'm no longer able to defend myself. And when I ask questions about threats, violence, and coercion used against people like me, they call people that looks like threats, violence, and coercion to be used against me.
Okay.
Think about it, man. Do you work for the mafia?
No, I don't. I'm just curious. Your affiliation with your investigation, are you like a
Look,
independent investigator or?
I work for
Here
BAO.
it is.
BAO? Oh, I haven't heard of them.
BAO. But yeah, I work for BAO.
You're like a,
And he's with Lorata.
I don't know what that is.
Lorata. I don't know what it is either. Somebody told me it's Spanish for the rat. And so basically, what I gather is he just pays my paycheck. So I don't ask a whole lot of questions. I just do as I'm told.
I see.
I just do as I'm told, just like the cop. The irony on this whole thing, the psychological exploitation that James is able to get away with here is off the charts. And La Rata.
But Lorata, I'm told, is Spanish for the rat. So I guess I'm a snitch. I'm just going around gathering information on violent thugs who potentially, rule other people and take their life, liberty, and property through unjust threats, force, and coercion. And then I snitch to BAO about it. So I'm going to snitch about Ben Lane calling you, and I will let him know, though, that Lieutenant Reynolds refused to use violence or coercion or even threatening in any way whatsoever.
Sounds good.
But that was the intent.
That guy's a
of
lieutenant?
Ben Lane and the security guard was to, I think that's why they called you. I do.
And that was the end of the video. Frederick Bastiat said, when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men living together in society, they create for themselves in the course of time a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. In another bit of irony, George Washington said, government is not eloquence, it's not reason, it is force. And like fire, it's a dangerous servant and a fearful master. I will leave the links to James Freeman's videos in the description below.
With Shane Buell. In
What's
today's
this one
video,
about?
we're going to
1 in 1,000-year flood. And that's evidence
Good
not just by the
question.
rainfall totals.
Yeah, the 1,000-year flooding that's been going on.
1 in 1,000, yeah. They're getting them like every 4 or 5 years now.
Or even more often, 6 months apart. Yeah, go figure. Whatever.
Oh my goodness.
And we're going to go to Indiana.
That's Cincinnati.
I did also live in Indiana. It's where I was born and raised. However, I grew up in the northern part of the state, and this is the southern.
Whoa.
And
Waterfall.
You got to go through the tunnel.
Waterfall.
Oh my goodness.
Take a muddy shower.
here you can see what was a small stream which trickled over the road is now a raging waterfall. And I definitely wouldn't want to drive through that. And so I can see there's a little cutout there. For
He goes under it so he won't have to get pushed off the mountain.
Footage. So this is normally a location where there is a little trickling
Avoidance
stream.
would be-
Drivers go around, but
Oh
now
my
it's a raging
goodness.
waterfall. And this is
Wow.
vehicles going down the River Street, which was a
Did
street.
you see
but now
that
it's a
car
raging
float by?
from Australia, even though we have a lot of domestic
Several
production.
of them.
All right, so yeah, we saw Australia flooded, and even Europe is having 1 in 1,000-year floods as well. And I'm going to show that here. So this is in Greece. It looks
1,
like whitewater
2,
rafting with
3.
these vehicles going down the River Street, which was a street, but now it's a
I didn't see
raging
any
river.
people in them.
You can see just how strong the force of the water is as it's lifting and spinning cars. Yeah, you would not want to get caught on foot in that because you would definitely get swept away.
The April 19 must be a worldwide thing because a lot of those, it's not. It was happening to Nero, and that's nothing to do with the good old USA. Wow.
Previously an island, it was most likely a plain of some sort or a plateau, as well as Saudi Arabia is also having flooding again. They just had flooding, I think, last year or the year before during one of the COP, one of the UN Conference of Parties meetings, which caused a river in the blizzard, or which caused a blizzard to create a river in the desert.
I believe your opinion of that, you landed on they got a new machine to make rain and they wanted to show it off to their friends and it kind of went over the top.
Well, the inability to shut it off, once you got the tap wide open, you get what you get at that point.
Yeah, they should have read the whole thing, you know. There is no turning it off. This is just another new person, Dutch peasant. His Dutch people sound like black people from Brooklyn to me.
Of their regime. Revelation 20, verse 7 and 8 became a reality on earth. The devil was loosed. Secret satanic societies were formed. Deception, lies, mass indoctrination, and worldwide wars followed. Humanism, a non-theistic and non-supernatural belief.
I want to go back over that one more because I've been studying this and I've been feeling like, you know, the Lord's helping me. And the whole world is on board with this theology we used to talk about between just a handful of guys, me, you, and some friends. And now it's a worldwide thing. We kind of got left behind, but this is a good summary of where it started, what we thought.
The devil was loosed. Secret satanic societies were formed. Deception, lies, mass indoctrination, and worldwide wars followed. Humanism, a non-theistic and non-supernatural belief, thronged the apostolic libraries, containing the most significant collections of historical texts. The humanists changed the apostolic libraries into humanistic libraries, making the Roman Church a center of systematic censorship.
Hence my problem, big brother. And I've been complaining about it. You never do anything about it. I don't want to be like the Ku Klux Klan, but I have nothing good to say about the Roman Catholics. And it's like the Ku Klux Klan hated the Roman Catholics. And I'm going like, oh, I'm going to come off like somebody from the Klan. Because I do hate them. I can't stand that theology. I think it's ISIS devil worshiping. They shouldn't be called Christians. They're the problem. They're like Jesuits, Rosicrucians. They're Freemasons to me. But I don't want to, I'm not the Klan. I'm not going to kill anybody.
Yes, they're not. That's not the only problem, but that's a huge source of evil, certainly. So, yeah.
Am I scapegoating them or is it real? They're the bad guys. They're the bad guys. Yeah. A little bit more of that.
Suppressing facts and declaring inconvenient documents as fakes. The humanists rewrote history, erasing the existence and destruction of the millennial reign. The heliocentric model was conceived to hide the city of God and Mount Zion, which they had not been able to conquer. Dispensationalism was introduced. The Christians changed their conviction that Jesus' return had occurred in their past into a belief that
the dragon was bound for 1,000 years, chapter 20. Split with 2 heads, which make havoc of the Church Catholic and her prophets for 1,260 years after the Passion of Christ. Well, that's where they went wrong. It's 1,335. See, they didn't do this right. They did not teach it as the millennium was over, and no. This all
Jesus' return would occur in the future. This change of belief was a violation of the decree mentioned in Revelation 22 verse 19. I come quickly was changed into I will come 2,000 years later. This resulted in everyone's part of the holy city being taken away. At the same time, the visible
Here we go again.
Of the
I'm on such a hard time with this map, RJ, and I vented on it last night. We'll let him take that phone call.
Quarters of the North disappeared from the maps with the introduction of heliocentrism, the globe spinning through space. The continent around the North.
How do we? North Pole.
Pole was taken away from all the maps, deleting the city of God and Mount Zion.
Really, that's Canada and that's Alaska and that's Russia. This is half the world, everybody. They're not, I mean, where's South America? This is a globe. They're showing you a globe and telling you it's a flat earth map.
Spiritually, the Christians are not able to see God's city.
We got that back on that. So that's some good stuff. Here's this guy, RJ.
Yeah, the whole point of how how did we get to where we're at, and no one picking up on it. Yeah, the tares and the wheat, there's a lot happening in that concept.
Exactly. The end being that he will rule them with a rod of iron. There's wheat and tare. There's always the sheep and goat. They're told to go to the mountains, and they're saying, watch out, because Satan heard that too, and they're going to put in people with you. There is always wheat and tares. So we're always on guard. We got a little bit more to go through. Here's this Yahoo Day.
Yeah.
It was a
With some
custom-made
breaking news. Yeah.
my house
Yeah.
basically, and it's made at a factory in Birmingham. They're the only ones that really do the custom work. So that's why I was in Birmingham. But when I was in the back in the factory there speaking to the guys, one of the things that really surprised me, I said, wow, that's a massive order. What is this for? And he said, we've got 6 or 7 of these. And I said, what's the orders for? Where are they going? And he said, it's all mosques. Now these are the biggest customers that we've got. They're all mosques. And of course, we all just sort of looked at each other and smiled. But it just shows what is actually taking place now in Birmingham, in the UK. It is changing, and it's changing rapidly. I would say, and I ran some rough numbers on this, but just based on birth rates, you've probably got 30 years left, I'd say, something like that, before England isn't really occupied by English people anymore.
Well, if you're considering yourself English, the Moors and the black people that you displaced, they considered themselves English. He does talk about, the church is closing down. The Bible could be used as hate speech. Young adults are open to falling away.
You can't make this stuff up. A recent study in the UK found that nearly a quarter of young Brits are open to banning the Bible, agreeing with a ban on books containing hate speech. They overwhelmingly voted that the Bible contains hate speech towards minorities and other protected classifications. Again, it's the same thing all over again. So there's this big thing. They surveyed 2,000 adults, and of these 2,000 adults, 500 of them said we should ban the Bible, and it shouldn't even be allowed in the country. And these people, I don't know what they are thinking. They've been so radicalized by, I think, partly the university system as well now, as a lot of the media, that they've just lost their minds entirely. So it goes on to say then,
You know what's
the
weird
results
about
tell
this,
of a deeper
RJ?
social belief in the UK that Christian views should be censored going forward.
Is when he's
It's also a
talking
deep
about they're going to, the youth of today are going to ban the Bible. They're open to saying it's hate speech, do away with it. It reminded me, how old is this? It's not 2021. This song goes back to the 90s or something. But 96, right before, and it says becoming X. And you know what they're deal is? That, I mean, the concept is something that they make appealing. Who, when
Falling from
we
grace.
were young, would have ever considered? I just want to just forget about Jesus forever, and I wish I never would have heard of grace. You're open to falling from grace. You knew grace, and now you're thinking, sneaker pimps, but it's got that catchy beat thing going.
And it rhymes with place and face and space. Sure. And falling from grace.
I'm full of doubts. I'm doing
Let
this
it
and
all
that, but I'm young, and I
Got
guess
my head up my butt, and
right.
whatever.
I'm not the cutest thing in the world, but if I dress like a slut, I mean, unless I'm missing it, is this the new standard for beauty?
Well, I think it's not you.
Or what does a girl that looks like this?
Oh, this has progressed quite a ways yet from this vantage point from '96. It's
oh my goodness, she was Maria Abramovich, the PG-13 version, but the idea is the same.
yeah, she's missing maybe some piercings and tattoos, but yeah, it's advanced from this vantage point.
Yes, but this was my first introduction to the actual, like, oh my goodness, because I've been to the rock and roll concerts. Open to falling from grace, open to banning the Bible.
Of water vapor into the air. Now, these things can dump literally tons and tons of water vapor into the atmosphere and contribute to the cloud cover. And they also have land-based versions of these. These are machines that produce lots and lots of water vapor that can turn them into clouds that will eventually rain downstream or downwind. And they also have power plants that are modified in such a way to emit extra water vapor too. Then in the mid 1990s, the Air Force put out their roadmap called Weather as a Force Multiplier, owning the weather in 2025. And it looks like from current events that they are actually on schedule with that roadmap. Now, this is allowing them.
Ooh, I remember this was so weird.
Advances in stratospheric aerosol injection.
Was that
on again, off again?
Yeah, yeah. They're doing. I saw some the other day live and in person where I live, a mile and a half closer to the sun than most people. And it was a high chemtrail. I couldn't even make out the supposed aeroplane that was dispensing it. And of course, they don't land here where we are. It blows out over the rest of the United States. But yeah, they've got the on and off, add the spirals, add the wiggles, add Medusa's snake-like hairs that spin around and turn into clouds. They got it all figured out. Wow, that's
which is nano-size particles of aluminum that can interact with microwaves. Now, microwaves are the range in which you find radar, and microwaves are emitted by NEXRAD Doppler radar towers, as well as 5G. Now, phased array technology can produce constructive interference patterns called plane waves. Now, these plane waves can actually push injected air masses around and guide them where they want them to go. And this wave pattern.
They're not doing this to help the people. They're doing this to make the money, to show the power, to kind of get around on the other mafias and say, I didn't really do it. You can't prove it was me. Their intent is not our intent, RJ.
Yeah, but then you have these disasters, and they're significant. And then you have the insurance companies moving out of these areas because they can't afford such large disaster payouts. Yeah, it's quite the web that's been woven here.
And Hitler's birthday is this weekend.
And any water rise could drown more stock clinging on for their lives.
All right. So what you saw there was Australia in Queensland had a flood that was bigger than the size of Texas, and they may have lost over 1 million heads of livestock. And now that's cows, horses, sheep, and goats. And as you saw there, the premier, I believe it's called, said it was likely to affect the market, and not just the Australian market, but the global market. I do believe that the United States even imports a lot of beef from Australia.
You know, the United States in 1888, one of the most mysterious years ever, if you stole one cow and killed it, they would hang you. It's the death sentence. Somebody just killed 1 million cows. That's a lot.
Oh, yeah. Even though we have a lot of domestic production as well. All right. So, yeah, we saw Australia flooded, and even Europe is having 1 in 1,000-year floods as well.
2 more
I'm gonna
minutes.
show that here.
We saw this
So this
flood.
is in Greece. It looks like whitewater rafting with these vehicles going down the river street, which was a street, but now it's a raging river. You can see just how strong the force of the water is as it's lifting.
As RJ was pointing out, as we want you to remember, everybody's gonna, it's like my carpet is wet and now it stinks. It needs to be fixed. Your insurance company is gonna say, sorry, didn't you know we canceled you? We're
Ohio
broke.
River also had record-breaking crests, and I will get into that here shortly. All right, so one of
and we have limited time, but I think what people need to do is realize you in the city will be living what you will consider a diminished lifestyle. What's this?
Yeah, 5 tidbits of information.
2.3 billion. They lost trillion in 9/11. Ooh, now you wonder what? Well, that house looks fine. It's just the car and all.
Well, yeah, currently, but yeah, tomorrow might be different. Who knows? Voila.
Wow. So RJ, they got this thing with this China's thing. He called us peasants this morning. He suspended rare earth exports. So I guess that banned rare earth from the 60s. You can't buy their records in China anymore. Halts the Boeing deliveries. That's a big deal, I guess. I mean, we don't have those factories. Xi holds stronger hand than Trump. Is that possible? Is the debtor the problem, or is the person that's loaned the money the problem?
Well, the ability to create wealth is more powerful than the actual wealth, and that's probably at the crossroads where what's happening when it comes to manufacturing distribution and technologies, China has something going on there.
China's got a little bit of money. Look at that. They're trying to claim that maybe glaciers made dolmens. We're going to wrap this up in 10 minutes, but people love dolmens. I love dolmens. I don't think that this guy's serious, thinking that that's how they were formed.
Interesting example. I think these pillars that you see here probably did have capstones on them until fairly recently, when the
it's a mushroom
pulled off because it was shading the pillar underneath it from melting.
So they struggle. I think that they obviously made these dolmens.
Catastrophe when the ice failed.
Somehow I messed that up.
Where the capstone is really quite flat, and so are the uprights, very thin. This one is Pool Nabron Dolmen in Ireland. Now
that seems to be a very famous one. We haven't studied these in a long time. They're on every continent. I don't believe that every continent had glaciers. I know they didn't. This site includes 7,000 spread over 1.2 miles. So pretty hard. I don't know that. Does that look like a glacier made it?
Allegedly. Yeah, I don't know who was here that's seen the glacier to begin with.
Rumor has it that if you ever go and sit on this dolmen, you will have a happy marriage for the rest of your life. There's that one thing again. They don't give them much credit, It's kind of 3,000 dolmens here. It's something, and this is the people we're up to.
They appear unhuman.
Yeah. We are a spiritual group who do not like to get plundered and don't want to hang around the people that plunder us, and then again, now we have a government that, that we saw in the very beginning. People are thinking and comparing it to what Frederick Bastiat compares as plunder. We have these people who are what? Open to falling from grace? Based on this right here, is there any proof this is really a girl? Or
not specifically.
Yes. Not specifically. Exactly. And we're
Anytime wealth is forcefully transferred from one person to another, it isn't charity. It's just
the CNC, the pull string CNC.
Government coercion that steals someone's life or freedom is another form of plunder. Like,
we're going to have a world where Walmart security guards are going to be put in charge of detention processing centers, and we're snowballing towards that. And people still want to believe they're falling backwards at 1,000 kilometers an hour while they're spinning and expanding equally in opposite directions. RJ, it's been an hour. We're going to wrap it up. We covered a lot. Anything you want to add?
Do some physical stuff now.
Really like it when you're not echoing. I really do. So I
Yeah,
think
it's
that
less
this was a
annoying.
really good
I'm
show.
still annoying, but it's less annoying. Yeah.
So everyone, if you've just joined, you might need to go back and catch up. We covered legal plunder. We covered Hitler's birthday. The reason that the thumbnail was Heather O'Rourke is because those guys like to rape blonde white people. They even made laws and found ways to breed them so they could rape them as slaves for 100 years in this country. And the one drop rule was predominant in the United States until the World War II and legally enforced until 1965. That's not my position. That's documented history that we can know from after the reset, because really, what can we trust? What RJ and I have lived through, and if it's happened since 1958, we could document it. We've been there, done that. RJ has 2 witnesses before God, and our intent is to not get blotted out of the book of life. That's simple. We're on record. We're not going to be lying to these people and acting like, oh yeah, you need to send us some money. This isn't the long con that we're in it to eventually I'm going to write a book and make we're going to cash in. This is the movement of God. Starts here, ends with the Lord saying, well done. How do we wrap up this show now? I got to say goodbye.
Yeah. Stay safe and informed, please.
Because there's one thing that is clear, ladies and gentlemen, it's a flat earth nation. The golden age is past because the mud flood was Armageddon. Satan was bound for 1,000 years, and now your crazy orphan trading minds going like, it can't be that clear. It's usually the way it works. A veil gets lifted and you go, wow, I'm looking at it a new way. I'm questioning certain things. You're not open to falling from grace. It's the most important thing in the world, and your intent is to hear, well done, my good and faithful servant. Amen. Hallelujah. Aho. Aloha. Arrivederci. Ciao. Sayonara. Auf Wiedersehen. Nakamain. Adios. Hasta luego. That's